So before I get into the repairs, I just wanted to go over the parts. So if you wanted to get parts for the alternator, it says here that it's for a Toyota or a Honda, but it's Denso Alternator. What you're looking at here, like that's one type of brush. That's one type of brush kit, and that's the other type. But honestly, they're the same. You could use this one or this one on either alternator. That's just kind of like puts you off, like thinking, oh, I've got to get this one, but you don't really need to. Either one will do the job. If you really wanted to, you could just get the brushes only. They got to be like that where they come out the back, so they can slide in here properly. I've done it before, taking the back here off and resoldering them, and honestly, it's better off just to buy the whole thing. But if you only got the brushes, like I had the brushes at the time, so I did the brushes. You could buy a kit like this. If you wanted to if you're doing a slip ring and the brushes, you just buy a kit like this. It's cheap enough. But the part that you want for this repair is this part here. Now, this particular seller, he sells the two. Oh, it'd be nice if I could make them bigger. Okay, so you got the one on the left, which is a small one. That's not the one that you want. It's the one on the other side. But you see how he mentions it's 8.8 on the inner diameter, and it's 15 mil on the outer diameter. That's exactly the part that you want. That's the part that I use for this job. What they don't mention is this part here. And the smaller one, that little part there is 4 mil across. Even though the hole's smaller, that's 4 mil across, won't fit. That's 3 mil across. And this one will fit because it's got the 8.8 inner diameter. So when buying one of these, it's important that this part here is 3 mil, not 4. So if you happen to find one from a different seller, just make sure that part is correct. So 8.8 on the inner diameter, 3 mil on that. And these parts here, this part here, they're 10 mil. And it's 24 mil in total. So yeah, that's the part that you want. If you're looking for just the regulator, if you've got another alternator, you're like, oh yeah, that's perfect, and then you look at the connection on it and you think, oh no, it's the wrong connection. Like it's let's see if I can find one, the big round one. They're like that. If the connection on the alternator is like that instead of like that, that's fine. They're interchangeable. So just take the part off your old alternator, swap it over. Now, don't be scared to buy the alternator even if it's got the wrong plug on it, because these are the same. These are interchangeable. So just keep that in mind when you're looking for an alternator if you're not going to repair it. What else? And when you replace these parts, you're basically giving yourself a new alternator. Just change the bearings as well, or you can repack them like I do in this video. Anyway, so getting into the video itself, if you just want to know how I repaired the alternator, skip ahead to about 30 minutes. That's when I start doing the repair of the proper slip ring. Before that, the first 30 minutes is just me fart-assing around, mucking around, just trying different things. I'm just messing around, but the repairs are from about 30 minutes onwards, and that's the part you really want to watch. If you're only interested in doing a repair, it's quite timely. You know, it's basically just watch what I'm doing. You don't really have to listen to what I'm saying. So if you wanted to just double the speed on your YouTube settings and just speed through it, you know, you'll get the idea of how I did everything and tackle it yourself. The most important part is that you buy the correct part. All right, I'll get into it. Right, so what I'm going to do today is try and change the slip ring off the old alternator, so you can see how bad that is there. Those who've watched my other clip know that I only did this 6 months ago and put the different brushes in, the new brushes. Well, it worked for, there's the brushes there. That worked, the alternator worked for 6 months. The brushes are still good, so that part that I did 6 months ago. So I've got another alternator here, it's from a Magna. Now if I really wanted to, if I was desperate enough, I can see that particular part of the mount there would line up, because So if I swap it over, that would be a good size to line up in the car itself. And if I was, like I said, if I was really desperate enough, I could use this alternator. And what I'd do is I'd just chop this part, this off from this one, and then make up spaces and so forth. So what I'd have is this and that there to bolt onto into the car down there. So just down there. Oh, you can't see it, so down there. Try and get a better look. And up top there. The sunlight's not helping. So in the top mount there, so I'd just put spaces between, bolt it tight, top and bottom, and I could get away of customizing this one to fit on if I was in that boat, and I almost was, but I thought I'd check out my other alternators. So I've got a Falcon alternator over here, and I've got another Toyota alternator over here, which the sleeve on this one looks like it very well could be compatible, and that looks like almost new. Like when I'm running my finger over it, it's all smooth. It's pretty good. However, this Denso alternator, everything about it says it's the same. So you got the how it all looks there, and the way the sleeve goes on, or a slip ring if you wish. And this one here, it's the same. It's even got the same plastic protection. Further down. So, and that's still got a lot of life on it, that slip ring. So I'm going to take that slip ring off this one and put it onto this one and see if it fits. So like, makes sense that it's just, you know, the alternator itself may be bigger, but the technology for the charging is the same. So let's see where let's just see how we go. So what I found interesting is the one that I took off my Toyota Denso alternator has got the light sensor ignition wire, the 3 pins, and the one that came with the Kia has only got 2 pins for light and then ignition. So you'd think that if you get the option for 3, you'd use the 3. Anyway, I checked it on the Kia. It's only got 2 wires. I thought maybe why not if it had 3 wires, but it's only got a white and blue wire there, so that's fine. And if you were to replace it with the alternator I was talking about before, you've got 2 wires here. One's for light, one's for sensor, but the sensor can also be ignition. It's basically just an exciter. So once the car starts, you know, power goes to that terminal there to excite the alternator to get it charging. Whether it has power after that point, it doesn't matter. It can keep power there, so you could actually run a jumper wire from there to there that's always got power, or you can have it to ignition where you just give it a bit of power, it starts charging, and then it'll keep itself charging from that point on. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying there. Anyway, and you know, 6 months it's taken to get a new alternator. Clearly they can't afford it, so that's why I'm going down this path of let's recode the alternator with what I've got, save a couple of dollars there and make a video out of it at the same time. So at the moment all I've put apart is just the top of the alternator. Like so, now I'm going to undo the 4 nuts and bolts to separate that so I can get to the solder on the slip ring and hopefully tap that off. So this is how I'm getting it apart. Now I don't have my tools here, I'm not set up properly yet, so just caveman ideas, getting the screwdriver and just tapping that out. It is working. I just wanted to show you this before it fell through, and just put a bit of cloth there so it's got something soft to land on. There you go, it's apart now. So that was in here. It'd be nice if I could just swap that whole piece over and not have to worry about changing that sleeve over. Does look in pretty good condition though. See what happens when I pull the other one apart. just wanted to show you, this is the part from the other smaller alternator. It goes straight on. If I really wanted to be creative, I could use a part like that and still get away with it. Side by side, this is smaller. But I could use it to replace it if I wanted to. Alright, so side by side you can clearly see this is bigger, so you can't do a straight swap, but everything about them is the same. Like that there, same. That way, same. Same length and everything. I already had the caliper on there, and they're both the same length and everything. So the only difference is this one's got a bigger body. So when you put this one back in here, you can see how close it is to the edges, to the sides, whatever you want to call it. And the one from the smaller alternator, clearly not big enough. It might work, but I don't want to go there yet. I say yet because you just never know. I'll see if I can change the slip rings over. Okay, got the bearing off relatively easy, just using a screwdriver and a chisel, just wedging it in both sides and levering it out. And I use a bit of inox to lubricate it, and it's just slid straight off. I was expecting it to be a struggle, but it wasn't too hard at all. It can be a struggle, I was just expecting it and it wasn't. So this is the old one, but I'm going to try and practice this one first to see if I can get this off without damaging it, which means that I have to try and get something onto that or clamp on without damaging that, and see if I can tap that out. But I need to first remove the clipping on both sides, so that's got wax on both sides there. Is this one the same? Oh, I won't know until, oh yeah, it's got wax as well. So I need to just get rid of that wax out of the way, get the clips off, and then see if I can get that slip ring off without damaging it, just for a bit of practice before doing the other one. If I damage it, then I'm not going to do this one, because you know, if I can't get it off successfully off this one, there's no point processing, because this I can still use, put it back together. If I damage that, then I'd be up for 2 slip rings. So at the moment I'm only up for 1 slip ring if this doesn't work. Now, see if I can come up with something. Okay, so I was hopeful, but I tried everything I could to try and get the slip ring off without damaging it, because I want to do the same to this one and get it off without damaging it. But it's not going to happen. I've been at it for too long already, and it's just not budging, so just have to take it off the old-fashioned way, breaking it and get that off and get a replacement slip ring for it, and recondition it. I'm kind of leaning towards putting a smaller one in here, just for kicks, you know, because I've got to get the van able to run while I wait for parts. You know, I wonder if I chuck that in there if it actually do anything. Probably not, but you never know. I don't do this for a living. People who do alternators would know the answer to that already, but you know, I like to mess around a bit. Okay, so I'll try and clean this up. I've been chipping at it with a little screwdriver for quite a while, getting all the wax off around, and you know, but the connection's loose there on both sides, obviously, and yeah, I was trying to hold it with along those pliers there and all sorts of things, trying to get the slip ring to come up, but just won't happen. Okay, so end result so far is I've put the alternator back together with the smaller rotor from the other alternator, so it'll probably do nothing, but it all goes back together, bolts together, brushes go in the same spot, everything, you know, it went in like it was meant to be there. So Hopefully it actually does something. Might not work under load. What I'm hoping for is that it's a daytime alternator. So it charges the alternator for the daytime. Maybe it'll die a little bit with the headlights on or something. But as long as it can keep the car going, then I can get my car back. To be fair, I don't like renting my vehicles out not knowing if the people are putting 98 RON in, because I only use 98 RON and my cars tend to ping and tap it bounce, whatever, when it's using 91. So I'm going to put this in. Hopefully she works. We'll just see what happens. Okay, moment of truth. So there's 12 volt in the battery, enough to start it. This isn't a contraption that I bought thinking it was going to improve my amplifier years ago, knowing nothing about amplifiers back then. That's just a toy. Alright, let's crank her over and see if she actually charges, eh? Wouldn't that be cool? Oh, kind of need keys for the job. Alright, here we go. Oh, alternator light's not on. But it's not charging. What a shame. No alternator light. So it's telling you that the alternator's making contact and everything like it should. Definitely sounds like could use some new spark plugs. This thing it's got a bit of a shake to it. If you rev it up hard enough, you can get a little bit of something. See? But it's not enough. No, I did the battery test. I've just taken the terminal off and she just died in the arse, so it's definitely doing nothing. But hey, I know now. I knew that was going to happen in the first place, but I just wanted to see what the result was. So what I'm doing here is I'm cleaning up the sides. So I've drilled a hole in the table so it holds this steady for me. I cleaned up that side as good as I need to go. Now I'm going to clean this side here. Trying not to hit that wire in the center there. I actually sharpened my screwdriver so I could use it like a little chisel around here. Okay, that's good enough for that side as well. Yep. Okay. So what I've ordered, online was, and I had to get some from what's that called, that express place. Don't shop there very often. AliExpress. I got these two from AliExpress. Actually, no, I got these three from AliExpress, and because basically they're $7 each, thereabouts, and plus postage. To get these two here was like $11. You know, it's as cheap as. But I can't buy it in Australia, so I had no choice but to buy it from China. So I've waited 2 weeks before continuing this video. This one here from eBay, I think, is the closest one out of all of them. I'll just go over. I can't use this one here, even though it looks pretty close, because the center part in here is 3mm. And that's 4mm, and it's the only one I didn't measure this part on. But the one from eBay is 3mm, perfect for this here. It's 8.8 mil that way, and it's between the two valleys, I call them, is 7 mil or 7.3 mil. And even though this here from eBay, that this one here goes on pretty easy to there, I'm still going to measure the depth and everything, and we'll go through some sizes. Now, had this not worked, the reason why I got these two here is because one's smaller in the center, one's bigger in the center. I was ready to drill one out if I had to, but it looks like this one here, if this one fails, if I can't get the measurements right for this one, which I don't think will be a problem, but if this one fails on me, I can still come back to this one, because this one here has got the right centers and everything. So that would go on quite easily. The thing is, knocking it all the way down to here, it'd probably be, I don't know, because that kind of bellows out. That kind of bellows out at the bottom there, so it'll probably fit straight on. And it looks like that there is 3 mil exactly. And this part here is, yeah, 3 mil exactly. So this one here is also a good replacement. So I'll leave a link in the description. Hopefully the links keep working, but if not, just try and take notes and measurements in this clip here. Okay, so we know what the centers there were. This one here is 8.9. That measured at 8.8. You know, 0.1 of a mil difference there. That's 3 mil. We already know that. The length of it is, we'll just make sure that zeroes off. The length of this is 47.2. No, hate using calipers like this. So 46.3. We'll just make sure that we zeroed off. Yep. It's in millimeters, by the way, if you hadn't already guessed. These here should be 10. Yep. So that's right. The length, size, yep, so we've got all them correct there. So the center, that's got to go over down the bottom there. That's 21.5, a little bit wider. That's 21, 21.1 if you wish. Yeah, it's a little bit, tiny bit wider. But I couldn't buy a Kia part, the Kia Grand Carnival part. I could not find one online anywhere. Now my problem here is, when this goes on, this is going to pretty much, well, I don't know if I put this on, if it's going to be cleared from the metal around it. This could probably just go straight on as is. But I'm just very iffy about it touching the sides, because the one that came off it looked more like this. So basically when it came off, all I did was push down the wire at the same time as pulling the clip up, and it came separate from the wire, and that was all it was. It was no solder or anything. Just the ends here were clamped on it, and that was it. Which this is different. I'm gonna have to solder, which that's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm just very scared to put this on all the way down and not be able to take it back off if the sides touch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and just, with the grinder, shave the sides around a little bit, just to give it a bit more clearance, because I don't want that. I want this to be a one-time only job. But if I have to take it off again, I will, and just use this other one, this one here, if I break this one. They should clear it. Shouldn't have to modify it at all. But it's so close. When I look directly down on it, it's so close. I don't want to push it too far down yet. Yeah, you know, I'm just gonna, because I could shave it or I could bend it. It doesn't look like it's gonna hit that. Doesn't look like it's gonna hit the very ends here. They're just getting close to the sides there, and that's what worries me. I might just, instead of grinding it, I might just bend it up. So what I did is, with the long nose pliers, I've just grabbed on the very ends and bent them around. So basically it looks like that on both sides. That's going to give me a bit more clearance there. Yeah, I can see it down. Looking down, I can see that it's going to clear it there, so that'll be good. And once I come down to the wire part here, that's when I have to make sure that right at that very bottom part there, that the wire is clipping around before I press it all the way down. Otherwise the wire will be stuck underneath it and hard to get back around. So that's going to be a bit of a trick there. Now, I don't know if I'm doing this the correct way or not. Normally they're not so hard to do. I've done alternators before. It's just unsoldering, take the old one off, put the new one on, solder it back up. But this one was different. I'll be doing my Toyota one as well after doing this one. Because they're both basically exactly the same. And like, if you watch the other video, you'd see at the beginning of it, I had the Toyota one out and the Kia one out, side by side, and the Toyota one's just a little bit smaller, but other than that, they're exactly the same. Okay. What I'm doing here is just making sure, because I'm looking down here, just making sure the wire is in that area where I could easily maneuver it into place. Now there's no markings to say which way this should go on, whether it should go on this way or it should go on this way. So I'm guessing with this alternator it doesn't matter. But with my Ford one, there was a little mark that you could only put it on one way. So I was looking for here, a mark somewhere. There's no indication on this. It's all exactly the same all the way around. Mustn't matter. I'm not an alternator expert. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe just having that certain way on the Ford alternator was just a thing for the Ford, but doesn't really matter. I don't know. I think I might need to try and clean up the channels inside here a bit. Yeah, I do. I want to make sure it's all properly clean all the way to the bottom. I'll pause the video here, clean them up, because there's a bit of rubbish. It's the same type of stuff as what's here, that's inside here, so I've got to clean that out.
Usapin mo, ano mo yung the way siyang mag-usap sa'yo. Ay, ano ko din yung sita.
Okay, so you can see that this here is the wrong one. It doesn't go all the way flush. So it's got the clearance there, it's not quite there, but it's hard up against here, so clearly this is not the right one. Unfortunately. But it's alright. So backup option is this one here. Now I know this is going to work because the bearing goes over the top there like that one. I still might be able to use this one for the Toyota.
Huwag kang
But now I need to get that
Ay,
off.
hindi ka naman mag-iingay. It's only between me and you. Sabi niya, nagigilty tuloy ako. Sabi ko, ay hindi, kahit si Mel, hindi ko sasabihin. Hindi, lumabas na yung mga storya eh. Basta sinabi ko sa'yo, ikaw lang
Thank
sinabi.
goodness I got that off in one piece. I was a bit worried. Alright, so I'll continue with doing this one. I'm going to wring those out first because I don't know how long it's going to have to come down before I cut it.
Sabi,
I'll tap
sabi
that
ni
on.
Sabi ni Kali sa akin. Sabi ni Jessica sa akin, si John daw pumunta doon.
Okay, that's flush there. Okay, well, looks like that's as far as I can go down, but that's okay. So now I'm going to try and wing it there. This is the part that looks like it's going to do the job. Get my diags. That's nicely tucked away in there. So, cut it about there, I reckon. Try not to bend it too many times. It is a solid copper. A solid cable, I should say. Well, that just came off my fingernail, so sweet. No, I know that my fingernail can break that plastic. I don't want to push this with a screwdriver. I'm going to find something plastic to push that with to get it past the metal part here, and then I can solder that down there. Alright. Been working with timber lately, so I found this little clipping I might be able to do that part there with. Okay, I need to cut it just a little bit more. And of course, when I'm finished with this, I'm going to get a multimeter on it just to make sure that it's all good. Okay, that's those two there are touching exactly where I want it to be. Got plenty of clearance inside there, so it's ready to solder. And before I go knocking it or whatever, I'm going to solder that one first before I work on the other side. What I'm doing right now, just giving the tip a bit of a clean. Every good solder is from a good clean tip. Don't like using sandpaper because I destroy the tips pretty quick with sandpaper. Now the reason why I say destroy the tips pretty quick, I mean like just the sandpaper takes off too much too quickly. That's all. I'm only using a magnifying glass because my eyes aren't so crash hot anymore and I don't like wearing glasses. Okay, that looks good. Now do the other side. See if I can get the camera to take a photo of that through the magnifying glass. Okay, before doing the other side, I'm just going to make sure that it's not, so let's go to the bottom one. It's not arcing off anywhere it shouldn't. Okay, beautiful. It's got paint over it. It should be soldered to that point there on the side. Doesn't matter. Oh, I guess it does matter, because if it's not connecting to there, then it's not working, is it? We need to double check that. Alright, got one side done. Just need to show you as quickly, I guess. I like each set around how you stabilize it. I don't have my vise here, it's at the old place. Haven't bring it over yet, so just using a hole in the table to screw into. So this bit of wire that's coming out here is covered with something, so I've had to just give it a bit of a scratch so I can get a bit of copper to shine through properly. You can hear that arc there, short out, but not anywhere else, so it's all good. Perfect. So now I'll do the other side. Tell you what, having a hole in the table though does make it really good. Cut that. Again, just going to use my nail. Maybe not this time. Funny how one side came off really easy, the other side I have to use something a little bit sharper. Oh, where did I put that bit of wood? Oh, find another bit. I'm going to use a bit of blunt metal here. Let's get that right down in there. Okay. You probably can't see it yourself, but what's happening is there's just a little bit of, when I press the wire down, so it comes up that little bit. I just want it to stay down, so I'm just going to find a bit of something to wedge in there that I can take back out after I've wedged it down. And I could solder it just like that. It's just me. Okay, that'll do. Just so I can hold it in place while I solder it. And get my flux. I use flux because it helps the solder stick better. Oops. Okay. Marge, the rains are here. Okay, that looks like a good solder. That's the top ring. Okay, well that's now shows that I've got connectivity between the top and bottom because they do entwine together. So that's a good sign because that means that solder joint was good. And just make sure that there's no beautiful no shorts anywhere else. Excellent. So now I don't need to test it from the side there because the connectivity going through is spot on. Better side. Now I'm going to use a bit of plastic weld over the top here. That's this stuff here. You could use JB weld. That's just because the G-force on that rotating so fast, you don't want the heat getting to that coming off and so forth. It's just, you probably don't have to do it. I just want to do it. This is old. It was normally really runny, this one, but you know, you can't take it back to the store after you've used it. But you'll notice as it comes out, see it's not coming out evenly. That means it's old. It's past its shelf life. But once you've used it, you know, you can't exactly take it back to where you bought it from and say it's buggered up. Probably good, it could, but I'm alright. It's just pointless argument, isn't it? Okay, it should be enough on both sides. I'll pour this flux back into there. And just work it in there. Making sure I don't go over the top of that because the bearing sits over the top. But it wouldn't matter if I did because I just bit of sandpaper to clean it up again. Wouldn't hurt to get some in there actually. I'll do that and then we'll leave it 20 minutes to dry. And we'll actually clean it up afterwards, so should be fine. Try not to get this stuff on your hands because it's worse than super glue. It does not want to come off. Alright, I'm just going to spray a bit of, use WD-40, whatever. I'm just using Inox over the top of that. So I can get a bit of tape, press it down. It's not going to stick to anything. Okay. Take it away now. Oh no, I'll leave it. Just so make sure it stays. What this does is squashes into where where I couldn't get it to. What this does is squeezes the glue down into the areas where I couldn't force it into, because it's not a runny arrow dot that's just going to go everywhere in there. It's pretty solid stuff. So when that's dried, that can stand up to 300 degrees Celsius as well, so it's going to tolerate all the heat. Now we'll just, it's not get sticking on me, is put the WD-40 or whatever in there, get that in. it's good enough. We'll clean that up once that's dried. So I'll come back in 20 minutes. Okay, it's been a lot longer than 20 minutes. Take that off, that off. Now I'm just going to get a blade and clean all that up. Because that's where the bearing's going to be slipping onto. Something to keep in mind though, I am outside, well ventilated, and this epoxy I use, the plastic weld, is very potent. So if you're doing it somewhere that's not open, you're probably going to want to need a fan or something to blow the fumes away from you. That's that part done. Now we'll get onto the bearings. Time to show you another trick. Because these bearings are still good, there's no play in them. I checked that while the alternator was still together, and again while it was apart. And I'm going to just re-grease them. Now do not, I've seen other people do not spray WD-40 or something onto them to give them a bit more slip, because that only thins the grease that's on the inside out. What we want to do is remove these covers. Because we're going to repack it. Because what happens is they fail because you degrease the engine or you drive through water or something and water splashes up onto the alternator, and over time it gets a little bit mucky inside, but these look pretty good. A bit dry, but there's no play or anything there. So we're just going to give these a re-grease. Just using a thin knife like this is easy. If you're trying to use a screwdriver, you'll be mucking around for ages. You need to use something that's going to poke into it easy enough. See how it's all dry? It's just all dry. That's expected. I'll get some bearing grease and we'll repack them. I don't have any, what would be good right now before repacking them is if I could use some brake cleaner on them, clean it all out first properly. I don't have any brake cleaner here, so we're just going to have to just go ahead and repack it with the grease that's in there. That'll be fine. Okay, this next bit, don't be afraid to get a little bit dirty. I don't think there's anything I can... I'll just try and get out whatever I can first. This glue gets so strong. That's why I won't be putting the alternator in tonight, because it's really strong after half an hour, but it's not completely 100% strong for the next 24 hours. I believe it's 24 hours anyway. Nonetheless, the alternator will go in tomorrow, just to make sure. Alright, get your grease. I like using Penrite grease and oils. I can trust their products, but obviously if you're not in Australia, you can't buy Penrite. So what we're going to do is just repack this. And keep doing that until I see it coming through the other side. Like I said, it's going to be a bit messy. You might want to wear gloves. See, it's starting to come through. You can actually buy a tool that packs them for you. I'll put the covers back on. Don't know if it really matters. I know that which side these came off of. They're the same colour. I don't think it really matters which way they go back on. But that there is going to give that bearing a whole bunch of life again. Alright, this is a Jizz screwdriver. It's got the Toyota shape Phillips head on it, so it fits in the screws properly. You can get away with using one, but that's a perfect fit. So you can get away with using another screwdriver, but then you get chances of threading the screwdriver. Not the screwdriver, I mean the screws, but you know what I meant. And for those who didn't know, Japan actually makes a different Phillips head screwdriver. If you're working on the Toyota, it's best that you get some screwdrivers that's meant for the Toyota. In this case, Denso I know is also Toyota, so I know that it's going to take the same screws and things. Is there a particular way that's going to come off? No. Nothing fancy about that. There's my hammer. Oh, look at that. Everything's on top of it. Bearings out. Did I wreck it or it's still usable? Let's find out. No, it feels good. Sweet. Came out rather easy though. Didn't have to tap it that hard. Did I damage it? Only the outside. So the part that's important is where it fits under. That's not damaged. A little bit on top there, but it's okay. Look at that. That's really dry as well. Quite surprising. Normally they're all gunged up, yellowish looking. So I'll repack this one as well. This will be an easier bearing to repack because it's bigger. See how it's coming through there? You know, mate, old mate of my father's taught me how to pack bearings. He which was a real shame. He died soon after. Like, he showed me how to do this, and I've used this technique many years. His name was Johnny Russell, and about 2 weeks after he taught me this, he got into a fight, fell backwards, hit his head on a toe ball of a FJ Holden, and died like soon after. But I always have that memory of him every time I repack a bearing. I just thought I'd mention him because it's a good memory to share. Not how he died part, obviously. Just where I got this bit of knowledge from. Okay. And just slips back on easy, like that. Bob's your uncle, James Roney. Just get it in even. Bit of dust from the timber. Two, 3, 4. Okay. Now the bearing ring. Bearing. I might fit that into the... No, I won't. I have to do it here. Yeah, that's a good fit. Tappity tap. It's hammer time. Okay. And this little one on top. The tricky part is the outer one as it goes on. Now you can see the clean spots in there of where this rested before. I'm going to just balance that. Bit of grease to help hold it in place. You can see straight away that one's going to be a problem. Okay. 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 I'll just get the nuts onto here to tighten that so it pulls it all together. these little guys face to the outside, called boots or something. Like that, you know. Make sure they all go to the outside, which they do quite easily. There's a little silicone part there. Yeah, that felt better. Okay. That's good. Should run like new. What I say, actions speak louder than words. I know I don't talk enough, but you get the idea. The 12mm only needs to go finger tight, because you've got the other 12mm that follows it up, and that tightens up against that. And that's it. She's done. Oh, I just need to put that pulley back on, but I'll do that tomorrow because that's a noisy step. It's kind of late right now. Okay. I know some people don't care and they just go because it's only a 2-second job. But I don't. I do think about others. They can go in tomorrow. It's not going to be used until tomorrow anyway. But beautiful. It'll run like new. Okay, so the alternator's back in. Just got things sitting loose at the moment. Obviously no fan or anything there, just doing a test. So bolt's back on, alternator's back in. I've got my meter over here, ready to go. Currently reads 12:17. I'll go in, start her up. No alternator warning light. 13.7, so she's working. Go back to the meter. Beautiful, 14.3. I don't know why inside it always reads at 1 volt lower than what it actually is, but you just know that it's 1 volt difference. So 14.3 over here would be 13.3 inside. Oh, 13.8. So what's that, like half a volt difference? Anyway, that's excellent. I knew it would work, so I'm not really surprised. Okay, that's it. I'm just going to put all this back together now. I am going to reco my alternator here for the Toyota, just for his sake really, so it's on the ready. And pretty much it's the same deal as what I just did. It's the same brushes, the same bearings, everything. The only difference is the size of this part here. The rest of it's the same length, same bearing, same, like I said, same slip ring. So yeah, too easy. So I'll leave the part in the description for the slip ring. Clearly these slip rings here I got will not work, but I got spares for another alternator later on. No dramas there. The one difference that have to be aware of though is this one here, I think it was 45 and it should be 48 mil deep, so this was too short. But if the arms on this, or the legs rather, on this were longer, that would have been perfect, but unfortunately not so. But I'll find another alternator for them to go on. Same with this. Good to have around. Like I said, they're only cheap, so no dramas there. I've got my new brushes that I'll use on my Toyota alternator. And just for good measure, I just chucked the OBD2 scan tool in. That also shows me that it's 14.1. Doesn't fluctuate, stays where it is. I guess once the battery is properly charged, it's going to come down in voltage a little bit as it does. But yeah, that's pretty good. Happy with that. Anyhow, that's it. Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.